is doing a thing. And I have a really important interview tomorrow morning, so I'm hoping and praying that I'll be able to have that conversation because my voice is going in and out. Welcome to Mornings with Mova, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is Monday, November 17th, 2025. Oh, good. 2025, David Alexander Jenkins will be joining us shortly. And so, oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Hold on one second. Hold on. I'm just trying to make sure that he's able to get on. So, as many of you are aware, my father is in town, and I have been up now since 3:30 this morning, preparing dinner and getting breakfast together, et cetera, et cetera. But it will not negate the fact that I have to work. And this week, I have a plethora of people that are going to come on that speaks to a lot of things that are happening around us. So I have to work. It's not like I don't want to take the time off. So he'll be fine. My sister and her husband will be here with all of us. So, and my husband. And so he'll be fine. But let me do the morning motivation quickly before David comes in. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Some mornings ago, I left a message. This was years ago, some years ago. I left a message for my father, thanking him profusely for not allowing me to attend any parties as a teenager except one, and I was only allowed to be there for 1 hour. In that hour, I saw a ton of alcohol and people pasted to walls. I felt like a fish out of water, so I stayed on the periphery and watched in shock until it was time to go home. I remember being resentful that I was not part of the weekend party cruise in my naivete, but I am beyond grateful now that my parents behaved as such and made decisions that kept all four of their daughters safe. That decision, along with conversations around peer pressure, has shaped who we would become as adults. As a mother, I curtailed my sons immensely and constantly warned them about inappropriate behaviors from and towards them. I was considered the corniest mom ever, but I didn't care. I never bought into the boys will be boys BS, and I still have those conversations with them as adults. Parenting is a heavy and rewarding task to always be taken seriously. I pray as we raise children, we do a more thoughtful job. The implications for those children can have lifelong effects. So many broken and hurt people. Good morning. I see you, David. I see you. Good morning, my good morning,
Good
my darling. Good
morning.
morning. I
Good
was just
morning.
doing my morning motivation around parenting. So many parents are struggling right now with their young people, and you know how difficult it is. I listened to you talk about how you had to sit at the dinner table, how there were certain things you had to do, how you had to comport yourself. Well, the same thing here. We had to comport at like at the age of 2. I knew how to use a knife and a fork properly. Okay, sit at the table, sit up straight, make sure the food comes to your mouth, not you hovering over like that. And I thought they were the worst parents on earth.
Or worst. Worst and
Oh
the
my
worst.
God. I
Mm.
was like, who are these people and why do I have to do this? But now, as an adult, I'm able to comport myself. I'm able to do all the things and I was able to pass it on to my children. And so I just wanted to encourage parents. Don't feel like it's okay. They're going to grow up and leave your house eventually, but you do what you know you're supposed to do to get them to that place where they need to be. I'm losing my voice, child. So I'm trying to.
And I have seven godchildren. And yesterday I was having brunch with two parents of one of my godchildren, the parents of one of my godchildren. And we were having this very conversation about, this child is growing up in an environment which they acknowledge to be an extraordinarily privileged one. And they were saying, Dave, how do we make sure that little Noah grows up knowing that the basics so he doesn't become this little spoiled brat? And I said the first thing is that you start taking him now to the places where he can visualize, see, touch, feel, hear. You change what he's excited about, right? So make him excited for the way something feels. Take him to the thrift shops for shopping. Take him out of these other sorts of, because this is the time where, like a sponge, he will soak up this universe, this world. So make sure it's the world that you want him to live in. And it's okay to take away things. It's okay not to lavish, and you don't have to feel bad. And if you didn't have it before, that doesn't mean your child has to. And forcing manners at all times. Yes, please. Thank you, ma'am, sir. This and that. All these things are super important right now because one day they're going to get away from that anyway and move to wherever they want to go. But they will have a basin of knowledge that says this is where my parents want me to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're all talking to you. They're all saying good morning. Good morning
Good
to each and every one of you.
morning.
We see you here. Monica says, I'm back and missed you all. She had a good birthday. Morning, Laura. Good morning to all this. So now listen, we're getting ready to have a good show today. Tomorrow's show, I'll text you, David, about tomorrow's show.
Yes. Yes.
Just prepare yourself tonight. Be back on.
Okay.
You
All
already
right.
know we do
I'll
this,
agree.
right?
Listen.
Um, what's happening in the world that you would like to? I know that you would like to discuss this morning because every
I
Monday
would
we
like
do.
to discuss the big, beautiful bill.
Okay, well let's discuss. Come on.
Because it seems the big beautiful bill wasn't just a series of law that went out, but there was a big beautiful bill maybe named Bubba that Donald Trump has some involvement with. Now we're not going to go and delve into that, amen. But I will say that there is so much right now that's coming out in the Epstein files that we're seeing lanced out day by day by day, and I'm
But wait,
seeing.
David, let me stop you for a second. Last
Mm,
night he declared
mm.
that he wanted the Republicans to release the files. A complete reversal. He wants the Republicans to open up an inquiry to release the files. So here's my question to you, because we already know there's a whole lot of look over here. No, look over there. No, look over here. What is it that's actually happening that this is now becoming a distraction? What is it that they're planning, plotting, doing? Because I've been trying to figure it out, right? And I see another attack has happened on Venezuela, in the waters of Venezuela. They sent an aircraft carrier right there in the middle of the Caribbean, so something is happening there.
The
And I
Attorney
hear
General of
that.
Washington, D.C. has just reissued open carry in Washington, D.C., in the District of Columbia,
See what I
which
mean?
is a flag. So we'd like to have chaos, right, in this place that we say is so dangerous, where we have sent the military in martial law like way, right? With unprecedented use of force to have the nation's military be sent in by the National Guard to go and protect D.C. Now we have a emergency issue that allows open carry. So we're setting up for a civil unrest moment. I think the gas is just put on the heat. Now it's, well, since this is going to happen, now what do we do to make sure we don't lose control? Well, we pull the nuclear option, I think is where we're at. There's also an idea that one could construct a bill that would lower the legal age of consent retroactively. If that were to happen, you could say, yes, you read in the Epstein file, but it doesn't affect anybody who's in it. There is the understanding that what is in the Epstein files, which we should be focused on, that we're not so focused on the nation, is how much involvement Israel has had in plotting and planning and making sure that the people who are in the Epstein files are in the Epstein files, right? So there's all of this surrounding these files. These files are important for several reasons. They show the connection of the President of the United States and many people within the government at very high levels to a sex trafficking ring.
Men
This
from
is
all walks of life, from business and industry, from Republicans, Democrats, Independent, they're
men
all
and
in there.
women,
And women. Thank you.
men
Thank
and
you. I was just
women,
about to say
and
that.
little boys and little girls being trafficked. So we have a young man who was shot by the head of Abercrombie and Fitch, who was also connected to Epstein. We have the introduction of the First Lady and the President of the United States by Ghislaine Maxwell on the island that Jeffrey Epstein owns, right? So she's the First Lady and President are meeting for the first time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. The photo shoot that is very
Wait,
famous of Melania
stop.
Trump.
I just want to be clear that I understood you.
Yes, let me say it
Trump
again.
met Melania on Jeffrey
Was
Epstein's
introduced to
island.
Melania by Ghislaine Maxwell on Jeffrey Epstein's island. That
Are
nude
you
photo of
saying
her on
what
the
I think
plane.
you're implicating?
I'm saying what is released as public information. The photo of her in the nude that we all are aware of, that we also was very inappropriate on the airplane next to the briefcase where she's got the little teeny bathing suit on and the hair is up and it's leg curl. It's on Jeffrey Epstein's plane.
Are you telling me, because I just want to make sure that I'm clear. Are you saying to me that Melania Trump, who was now married to Donald Trump, was one of Jeffrey Epstein's girls?
I'm saying that she was introduced to Donald Trump by Ghislaine Maxwell at Jeffrey Epstein's house on his island. I'm saying that she was able to stay in the country on a special visa for talent, and we have not yet discovered what that talent is. I'm saying that publicly and quite known, Jeffrey Epstein's brother asked whether or not Putin still had the footage of Trump blowing Bubba. Now, he has since come out and said Bubba is not Bill Clinton. But by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell did have a horse called Bubba. And if it's not the horse called Bubba, there could be other things. But what was more intriguing was not the action that Jeffrey Epstein is recording that Trump is doing, but the fact that those recordings have gone to Russia. Why is it important? Because if we go and stretch our minds back a little bit to some news, we can remember when Vladimir Putin was very clear as a warning to Donald Trump just before this election by putting the nude photographs of Melania Trump on Russian state television.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
So we know that Vladimir Putin has these photographs and these other things of Donald Trump and Melania Trump in his possession. We know that there was a collusion between Vladimir Putin and Yahoo over there in Israel. We know that there were paintings found on Epstein's apartment, his mansion in New York City, that had photographs of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, a painting of George Bush holding two airplanes with the towers behind him, right? A painting of, and fill in the blank of all of these paintings, which were scenes of very interesting and shady things that happened in America that we have. These things are public record, everybody, right? You can go and look at these paintings that were found in Epstein's house. Epstein and Trump actually were friends until Epstein went to buy a home. The home was something like $30 million and it was in Palm Beach. Epstein decided to show Donald Trump this home and ask him for some advice about the architectural plans and shifting things. Donald Trump then cut Epstein out of the deal and went behind his back and paid $40 million and got the house. But Epstein knew that Donald Trump did not have $40 million, that he was in the hole and that he was going to have no money. So where could this come from? And he thought it was a particular Russian oligarch. He discovered later on that it was a Russian oligarch because that's whose name went on the house bid, but it was in Trump's possession. Now, that house was then turned around and sold for something like $60 million. And Jeffrey Epstein saw that as racketeering. And so that issue of Donald Trump racketeering through the Russian oligarchs this money is what then caused Jeffrey Epstein to be very upset and start digging. So the person who actually gave Jeffrey Epstein up to the FBI, his legal battles began when Donald Trump went to the FBI to tell the FBI what Epstein was doing. While in
No
jail,
permanent friends, no permanent enemies.
While in jail, Epstein had still this ring of people. He was not suicidal, everyone. He was put in a very low security place. The first time he went to jail for this issue with children, he was there for a very short period of time. And he came out of jail. He was then rearrested when he entered the country again on the tarmac, I believe in New Jersey, when he flew back into the country. And then he was in jail again. He had not been tried. He had not had his trial. He was in good spirits. He was talking to his lawyers. He had all the information in the full book to throw at the court. And suddenly, he committed suicide, or did he? We don't know that he actually committed suicide. The autopsy was not released. Many corroborating witnesses said this isn't it. The one autopsy that was done does not support any sort of suicide at all. He was in a place where he was being watched constantly by people. All the security cameras in the jail where he was murdered suddenly went off. And so I think that what we're looking at here is Watergate times 10. And when we get down to the truth of this, and again, I'm only speaking about the information which is public
Public
information. You know, I,
information.
I have more. I'm not using it because it isn't public and I don't want to go anywhere. I like to be appeared. Amen. And so these are the things which you yourself can verify by a simple search and by looking up and putting the pieces of the puzzle together which are before you. Whoever else is in those documents, we do know that while Bill Clinton was on the plane 4 times, those 4 times were each to a particular party or a function. Twice he was on the plane with his wife, who was also on the way to a party. But Jeffrey Epstein clears up in his emails that he was never, ever on the island. And almost in a way of saying like he wouldn't come, like he never was on the island, never ever was on the island. He was on the plane, on the log of the plane, going to foundational things because when you're wealthy and you have a plane, I have discovered this myself. Your friends will say, "Would you like my plane to go somewhere?" I have done this. Now, if one of my friends commits murder made alone, I'm not an accomplice of the murder. I was simply on their plane, right? But we do know who was in the house, and we know this because one of the emails tells us that the dog which hasn't barked Donald Trump, right? In the case of the victim, who he spent hours with, Donald Trump spent hours with the victim in Epstein's house. Now we have a victim recorded, preserved, who was going to testify against Donald Trump before, and in her conversation, her tape conversation, she lets us know that she was very, very upset because she, as a 14-year-old, I believe at the time, was asked to lose her virginity to Donald Trump, and so she broke down in tears. And while in tears, Jeffrey Epstein said to her, "You should be happy." And Ghislaine Maxwell, you should be happy that the person that you're going to lose your virginity to is Donald Trump. He's such a big and powerful man. We have that tape. We have that evidence. Now we also have Epstein's letter privately sent with the lawyers involved that says, of course, Donald Trump knew everything that was going on. He spent hours with the victim in the house. Now,
Do
the
you
word victim,
understand that the average US citizen, the average American, cannot follow this bouncing ball? Do you
which is
understand that
why
the
we're trying to
average
put the puzzle
American is like,
here.
I'm just trying to figure out how to eat? Do you understand that they recognize the powers that be, understand that the average American just cannot follow any of this, and they're wondering why do we keep talking about these files?
Why do we keep talking about these files? Because these files implicate a deep state plan that looks like this. If the state of Israel has, with agents, chosen to go into every country and ensnare people who would be politically valuable to them, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew in England, Donald Trump in America, and or other political figures that are lawmakers, people in Canada, people in Australia, people in you name it, members of the UN, as a way to ensure that never could those nations go against the agenda of Israel, then now we see a path by which many, many people, and I want you all to remember the fact that the King of England just stripped Prince Andrew
His
of
son,
all of
his
his
brother.
titles
Mhm.
a week and a half before the end of this period of which the Congress was not there, who would be voting to release these files. So the releasing of the files in America and the removal of Andrew's titles seem very, very close together, and strangely, oddly, as though there was a conversation that said, by the way, this is all going to come out, and you can't run and you can't hide because your name is all up and through it. And we got this pause going on in the government right now where we've sent everybody away. We're not going to vote to come back until you have your ducks in a row, all of our allies. And our allies have been removing political people left and right who might have something to do with these files. Bam, out come the files because you can't stop it. Now you have the vote, you have the House vote. It's going to go to the Senate. I very much doubt the Senate's going to be able to block it because everybody is so upset in America. It would really damage the party based on this and the other. And by the way, Donald Trump campaigned on it. So now Donald Trump will do it. The question is, what will have been redacted from those files by the time they are released? Release the files, he says. But we
Mhm.
know just a few days ago in the White House, in the Situation Room, a meeting was called where people who are members of the public were recording that the Phantom of the Opera was being blared from the White House at record levels, as though there was some sort of a breakdown going on, right? And so I would say to you that it is time for us to buckle up and watch in and tune in. Now, what will happen? Well, the base of his party, MAGA, has been extraordinarily distressed about this. And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene have been on the forefront of saying, you need to release those files, and turning on the Trump regime about this child trafficking issue. Remember, this is the issue that they felt with the Clintons, that they were trafficking children. Well, now we know that Bill Clinton was not implicated as a trafficker in this particular thing for what we know currently. We know he was on the flight, we know that he was going, but we know he was never in Epstein's island. Okay. Now we know that that Donald Trump is with the victim for hours in the house. So now we see that the person who said he was going to release all this information for everyone to understand is implicated at the highest level in these documents. We see that Donald Trump went to the United Kingdom on a state visit where he met with no less than His Royal Highness the Duke of York and the President and the Prime Minister of England and the King in a big white tie dinner. And now all of a sudden, the Duke of York is stripped of all of his titles, and we have the Epstein files getting ready to be released. I think it is hard to say dog scent, don't follow that.
So here's the question that I have. What's happening as we focus on all of this? What's going on that we should be paying attention to? in
The
addition to
focus
this?
now is how do we continue to maintain control? And if you were a chess player on the board and you know that the nuclear option in America was to create civil unrest and or to have a war, because those two options could allow you to remain in control during some other crazy time,
Right?
then
Because
it
when
would
this
be
is
to
happening, you can't have elections, right?
there you are. So let us speed up the need for war. So let's look at Venezuela and what's happening with Venezuela. Let's look at the issuance of orders like this last decree from this federal judge, sorry, from this attorney general of the District of Columbia, who has now decided that open carry is going to be the law in a place that you've already decreed to be too dangerous by sending in the National Guard. Now we have this open carry, which means we're inciting people into a riot. I bet you the Proud Boys would be down there with an AK walking around. I bet you there'll be
Can
something
you
that causes
imagine?
civil unrest. You were just putting a stress on. So what is the plan? Why did you do this? It's a strategic move into action. I want us to remain out of that action. I want us to remain out of that action. I want us to remember that this is not our fight. This is not our battle. This is not our war. It is one between two groups of people who've always tried to blame us for things that we actually should not show up at the party for this time. Right? Allow them to do that on the street. They may tear this thing to the ground and or blow it up, but you yourself will not be out there helping them.
Right.
And so I think that what we're looking at is a plot to create an unrest.
So that they can stay in power. Okay. Everything you just discussed this morning is something we have been talking about, that there is something else happening here. We knew this was coming. We've had lots of dialogue. We've said to people, are you prepared? Do you have enough water in your house? Do you have all the things? Like we've been having this discussion ad nauseum. I'm so tired of talking about it. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Right? What do you think now? What is a timetable? Because we have, and I believe the timetable is March, April of next year when we're supposed to have the the primaries, right?
Well, I know that we have some limited time and there's a timetable
Yes.
we should be discussing about what should be happening. And I think what should be happening now is we need to look local at our local government and the decisions that are being made. This is the worst time and perhaps the best time to re-implement a few things. One, removal of DEI initiatives in Philadelphia is obscene, right? It's something that cannot happen at this time when you have a national government which is making moves like this. The local government needs to barrel down and lock in and stand in a place that says,
Stop for a
I am.
second. What happened
Mhm.
in City Council on Thursday? We have six
Well,
minutes.
so what happened in the government that day is that we received the news that the mayor was going to discontinue DEI efforts across the government. Now, this saga of a story has begun. If we cast our minds a little bit back to the firing of Tyrell Brown and of Brandy, who both were the DEI and the LGBTQ representative to the community, right? So the Office of LGBTQ Affairs and DEI have both been removed for an incident surrounding inappropriate sharing of photos in the workplace, and that has been well discussed. But now we look at a more permanent shift in a lack of DEI effort. Now, at a time when the federal government is explaining how important it is to have DEI initiative, we as Philadelphians should not be shying away from that, and quite frankly, need to put the representatives to the community back into each community. The only way that we keep these communities on the ground in any way, shape, or form, without a fear rush, with just what is going on here, is to make sure that they are represented by individuals. The second thing that I understand there is none of, which must be, there is no plan. Everyone, there is no plan. There is no plan for you if the things go awry. We don't have a plan for food banks. We don't have a plan for emergency shelter. We don't have a plan for what happens under martial law. We don't have a plan. And we have asked several members of council when they've sat in on the show, what is the plan? And each of them hem and haw and say, well, that's a very good idea, but it seems like we don't have enough lifeboats on Titanic to cross that bridge. And when we get to that bridge, we'll get there. We need a plan. The council members must demand that there is a plan in place and that at least some portion of that plan is made public so that people understand that there is a plan and what to do in the first step of an emergency as we get closer and closer to a very dangerous time. All across Europe and governments, this is being discussed. We must discuss it here. The thing that I did when I went to City Hall was drop on the floor this scathing report on housing, right? Because we have 8,000 homes that are held in the land bank right now, and we have 5,000 homeless people. And since 2012, only 1,000 homes or buildings rather has been redeveloped by the Redevelopment Authority. That means there are 7,000 properties that are sitting there without any plan of redevelopment. And so if we look at that now, that there's 9,000, sorry, 1,000 were done, 9,000 total, 8,000 remain in the land bank without any redevelopment plan. We have a crisis in Philadelphia in which people are being removed from their homes to be kept in their homes, right? And now we have this crisis where we want to build a lot of affordable housing. Well, we have the structures that we could be going at. There's a wonderful company that has been screened about that was the global cat, if you will. And that is Urban A&O, led by Joseph McDonald. And he is an architectural firm that comes with federal money that is able to redo these things. That's been something which has been given to council members and on their desks, in which many of them have looked at and said, this is great. But the executive office has a plan which is not that. And so we must get back to get rid of the plan, whatever it is, and allow people who are willing to come in, help and fix and repair the things to deliver the clean, green, and energy efficient dream that we have, to make that true. Now's the time that we open it up. Now's the time that we go to the Real Development Authority and say, enough is enough. This hoarding of buildings and cherry picking what company you think might be allowed to come and access this at whatever time for the right political favor, discount, whatever it is, that's the problem, has to end. We have people who are starving, people who are being made homeless, and by God, can I tell you how that's going to get even more ugly in the coming months. So now is the time to lower those boats. We do it all the time on cruise ships. When you have a rough sea, you begin to prepare the boats just in case. It doesn't mean you have to go down in them, but make sure those boats work. Make sure that people understand the lifeboat safety drill, and make sure that we as a city survive what is coming. And the way that we survive is not to put our heads in the sand and make no noise, but it's rather to put a foot down that says, this is who we are. And this is where we're staying. If we're worried about the funding, we're going to have to talk about that. If we're worried about what's going to happen if the federal government cuts off this and we need to talk about that. What we cannot do is allow people to just fall into the ocean and die.
I would love for you to meet Leslie Renee. That's a conversation we'll have later, because there's so much happening right now that needs to be addressed. And I don't know where to start other than to start about the people. It's about the people. And if we allow certain groups of people to fall by the wayside to save a whole lot more, then what does that say about us, to us, and what we're doing? I want to thank you. My next guest is in the lobby. Stay tuned, please, because I need to have an after party after the party. And I'm always calling on you for my after parties because there's a lot going on this week. My brother, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Okay?
Likewise.
All right.
Okay.
At the end of the show, I'm going to tell you who will be on with me tomorrow morning. And we can go from there. Let me let Ed Brown in. You know what's so funny? Every time I see your face, I smile because you're literally one of my favorite people on earth. Most people aren't aware of that because,
I
I'm
love
very
that.
quiet.
I love that, Andre. I love that. I know you know a lot of people, so to hear you say that is amazing.
Because I've watched your growth. Remember, I met you when your wife came and said, you got to talk to my husband because he's running for school board. I remember you taking my class. I remember you going through all the core values of leadership. One of the first things we talked about. I remember when you were approached to run for mayor of Upper Darby, and I watched you do the pros and the cons. You talked about your family. You want to make sure your children were okay. Who are the people in the community you should work with. And you, sir, are leadership personified, which is why I
Thank
asked you
you.
to come, because I've watched you. I watched you before you ran for a dog catcher, right? And so, it is important to have this conversation. Marguerite Foyzan says, good morning, Mayor Brown. Welcome. Can you imagine Mayor Brown? I still get chills when I think about it.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Thank
Good
you.
morning. All right. Cheryl says, are we related? Good morning, Mayor Brown. Everybody's saying good morning to you. Hey, Angela Jones. She says, hi, Mr. Brown. All right, let me
He's
introduce
one of
you
my
to,
favorite people.
listen, we are, because she was a part of the class that you were
Yes.
in, okay. Ed Brown is the mayor of Upper Darby Township in Pennsylvania. He is a 28-year resident of Upper Darby, has long served the community in many different capacities in the past, including Upper Darby School District, School Board Director, 2017 to 2023, Home and School Vice President. I mean, you were engaged, honey. Upper Darby High School, 2016 to 2018, Home and School President, and much more. And then we were going to have Sadiq Kamara on. So I'm going to talk to you about leadership. Is Sadiq back? Did he get back?
He's on the way back. He's not back yet.
Dang.
Yeah, he's stuck in Peru, and with all of this stuff with air traffic controllers,
Yeah.
it slowed him down. So he sends his regrets, and he wants to be on when he gets back.
Tell him when he comes back in, reach out to my producer. We'll have him on this week. We will have him
Sounds
on this
good.
week. But I
That
want you to
sounds good.
speak about him as his mentee, as your mentee, because I remember you introduced me to him with Fantability and that he was running for office. Actually, he told me he was running for office before it became public knowledge. And we had a private conversation about that. And I watched him. He's Liberian, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're getting a whole lot of good mornings over here. I'm looking at the thing. I need you and I to talk about the decision to run for office and what made you decide that, you started out as home and school president, you have a really great job, you've always been engaged in the community. What is the first thing you think you should do as a person running for office? If you want to run for office, what is the first thing you should do?
Volunteer. I think volunteer is the word. I mean, it's all about service and wanting to give back. And I think that's how you learn your craft. So if you want to run for office, the best way to learn your craft is to volunteer. As you said, I started off as a homeschool parent, and I wanted to impact my kids' education, right? They were in elementary school, and I wanted to help in any way that I can, help shape their experience, make it the best as possible. And I helped raise a lot of money for the elementary school that my sons attended, Highland Park Elementary School in Upper Darby. And that started my advocacy for children and for education. Education is paramount to everything. I mean, my mother was a teacher, so she instilled those values in us. So that's volunteering. Is if you're going to run for office, learn your craft and make sure it's a good fit for your skill set. But I think volunteering and just understanding service. And I always say service is leadership. So anything that's related to leadership, service is connected to that. I have a plaque in every office that I sit in that says service is leadership, leadership is service, because I think they're connected, they're intertwined.
Yes. Now, you went from Home and School Association, you wanted to run for school board. Talk about that, because I'm taking you right up to mayor of Upper Darby. When you decided that you wanted to run for school board, did you win the first time you decided to run?
No, I did not. I learned a lot. So Upper Darby wasn't, it was still, the other party was a predominant party. So everything like kind of changed in 2017, but I did run in 2015, fell a little bit short, a few hundred votes short of my goal, but I learned a lot and I was determined I wanted to run again the next day. So I waited till 2017 till the next opportunity presented itself, and I did win. And the interesting thing was, when I won in 2017, I actually came on the board as vice president, which is unusual, right? They asked me to serve in a leadership capacity coming on the board, and they felt that the learning curve with me would be shorter because I was so connected and involved in the district. They wanted me to co-lead the board starting. So that was, and so I was the vice president for the first year, and then I was the president for every other year that I served on the board. So, yeah, very rewarding experience.
Well, I listen, I know you were running for office the second time when your wife connected us, and you took the class around leadership with parents. And I remember giving you all the challenge around core values and leadership. I knew then. I remember walking up to you going, yeah, you're going to win this one. You're going to win this one because this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. And you won, and you began leading in such a way with an ethical core value that spoke to, let me tell you what I loved most about you. There was always something going on, right? And there were always decisions being made. And even when people wanted you to make a certain choice, you would say, I'm following the data. I'm following what the people are asking for. This is what we're looking at. This is what we're going. You gain so much respect as a direct result. I was not shocked when you called and said you're thinking about running for mayor of Upper Darby. Did you think you were going to prevail, and why, when you were running for mayor?
Um, if once I decided and committed to running for mayor, I did think that I was going to win because I thought that I could help. And, I got a lot of positive feedback from the community based on my tenure as a school board director. And a lot of people asked me on both sides of the political aisle to consider running for mayor. And, after a lot of soul searching and permission from my family and permission from my other employer, I did get permission to do that. And I really thought that I could help, and I think I'm doing a good job. I'm trying my best, making a concerted effort to move the needle and improve the quality of life for all 87,000 of our residents. And I'm honored to be the mayor, as the first Black mayor, person of color,
Wow.
to be the mayor of Upper Darby when we
In
have
what
100 languages
I
spoken.
was just
Is
about to say, in one of the
Yeah,
most diverse communities in the country, right?
yes.
What I found to be really interesting about you is that there were folks on the Republican Party who supported you. They found you to be fair, right? So
Mhm.
while you didn't always agree with them, you disagreed in a way that allowed you all to work together because you recognized you couldn't just be Upper Darby mayor just for one group of people. You had to be Upper Darby mayor for everybody. And so I'm grateful that you found yourself into that space. What has it been like now? You've been mayor since January 2024, right?
Um, I think we've done a good job. I mean, you have to build consensus, right? And I'm the mayor for all of Upper Darby, not just one half of Upper Darby. And I think I make a concerted effort to be inclusive. I have to assign people to committees and boards, and I assign anyone of any party to a board as long as I feel like they have the right skill set and if they want to serve. So I think you have to, my administration has to look like the township. It has to be inclusive, and I want people to look at the Brown administration and be able to see themselves. And I think if I do anything other than that, I'm doing a disservice to the people that entrusted me to serve as their mayor.
Yeah. What are the lessons that you have learned so far?
It's so many. Being a mayor is hard. All right. There's a lot of work to do. And just because of my temperament and I would probably say lack of patience, I want to fix everything immediately.
Mhm.
I do understand the challenges of our township, but I think there's a lot of caring people in our township. I love my administration and I love the people that work for Upper Darby because they work really hard and they care. So yeah, it's just trying to prioritize the challenges that we have and to fix them, as quickly as possible. I want to make an impact. I want to move the needle, and a lot of the things that we do, some things are seen, some things are behind the scenes. Like we needed to stable our finances as a township, right? That's not
Mhm.
something that people are going to feel or see, right? If we did twice a week trash collection for the entire year, which we do for part of the year, but that's something that they could feel. But if we're just getting our financial house in order, they may not exactly see that. They'll appreciate it, but those are the things that we have to prioritize. And I want to do things that they could actually see and say, hey, that's something that's improving my quality of life. We want to build a community center. We want to build a new fire and police a safety headquarters because we're kind of outgrowing the one we have now, and we've hired a number of police officers, and we're going to hire more. So they need new digs. They need a new place to serve, as well as the fire department. So I want to build that. And as large as our community is, we don't have a community center. We
Yeah.
will have a community center. That's something that's very important to me, because we have to have a place for the community to go and congregate and for young people, young folks to have
Mhm.
activities and things like that. So a community center is critical to our future.
I, as you well know, I worked in that township under Mayor McCosey. And I began to see some of the changes there. Mayor McCosey came to City Hall and told Mayor Kenny that I walked into his township and told him what to do, and he just decided he was going to. He was like, "I'm paying you to tell." Yes, sir. These are the things that has to shift into. But the beautiful thing about him was that he began working on those things. So you then took on that mantle. He wasn't mayor. There was another mayor in between him and you.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
But
My
do
good
you?
friend Barbara Ann Keffer.
Yes, yes. I didn't work with her, so I don't know her as well. She was a part of council and then became mayor.
Mhm.
You now are seeing the outgrowth of the three of you plus other people who came behind you. What would you say was the biggest growth that you've had in Upper Darby, as mayor so far? And do you continue to work with these two people? Do you continue to work with ex-mayor Makosi and Keffer?
The biggest change, or the biggest change from each of them is being consistent. I think we all had different styles. Mayor Mikosi had a unique style, and a long time servant and resident of the community. Same as Barbara Ann Keffer, she had her own style, and she implemented some wonderful things that I'm maintaining. She heavily invested in the environment in our parks, and I'm continuing that. So I think I took nuggets from each of them. Right, they had different styles, and I have I respectful and know obviously both of them, and Mayor Keffer is a dear friend. So I think I watched. You certainly have to watch and pay attention to leaders, and certainly the people that are responsible for your township. So I think I just watched and took things from each of them that the residents seem to appreciate, and then implement my own style, my own way of being, my own worldview and way of leading. I think so. That's how I think I shaped, how I govern now.
Yeah, I knew you were going to be a good mayor when you said, I am not choosing people because someone told me to hire them. I'm choosing them for their skill sets. I'm not choosing them because they're this party or that party. I'm choosing them for their skill sets and the way they work with others so they can bring value to what we do. I knew then. You have not been
Thank
in the
you.
news for anything crazy. And listen, I'm grateful because you get a phone call. Let me share this with you. Alexandra says, Mova, the way Mayor Brown introduced himself on election day outside of Upper Darby's municipal building, I knew he was going to win that night. These people are incredibly proud of you. Um,
Thank you.
uh, Monica says, being raised in West Philly, I know that Upper Darby has not always been a favorable area for Black and Brown people. However, I have truly seen the ups, downs, growth, and changes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. I mean, perception is reality, and I certainly want to know what people think, people that live in Upper Darby, people that live outside Upper Darby, because we care. We care about how people view us. We want to be a welcoming, inclusive environment, and that's what I'm trying to cultivate. We work really hard every day, and I love being in here. I even had I'll share my challenge this morning, even coming in. I'm supposed to be sitting in my office. Right now, I'm sitting outside my office on a bench. I had a challenge. I got off the elevator because I wanted to come and sit in my office and and give you my undivided attentions for this interview. So I got off the elevator and I dropped my keys. My keys went down the elevator shaft.
Oh my goodness.
So what are the chances of it happening to go down that little slot between the elevator when I was
Yes,
getting off? So I'm not in my office. I'm not using my laptop. I'm using my phone.
that's
But guess
fine.
what? I'm persevering. And my director of administration is on the way to help me get my keys. So that'll work itself out. But I wanted to be here and be a part of this. I always enjoy speaking with you and being on your show, and it's always enjoyable. So I wanted to just make sure I honored my commitment to you and be here.
And you always do. Andrea hit the nail on the head. Joyful 8654, otherwise known as Andrea, says, humility oozes out of this mayor's pores. Thank you for your refreshing perspective, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's why I
Thank
wanted
you.
to introduce him to you all, right?
Thank you. I
Leadership
appreciate
is,
that.
is, is for servanthood. And I would drum that into them. You've got to be a servant first. You've got to be a servant first. I don't care how much you're leading. If you're not serving the people, if people don't feel like you're serving them, that's a major issue and will cost you down the road. How much do you think mentorship matters?
Mentorship is paramount. I mean, I think at least I feel like I have an obligation to mentor those that are coming behind me, those that are watching. A lot of people ask me to mentor them, and I try to accommodate the ones who ask because it's important to help shape the next future leader. Somebody's going to be sitting in my chair after me and I think I have an obligation to prepare them. Barbara Ann Keffer spent a lot of time with me, my predecessor. So I think she did a proper handoff. She showed me how you do a proper handoff to your successor. And I do the same for people that are running for different offices. And you talked about Sadiq. He came to one of my um, nonprofit events, and he was impressed with, the things that I shared. And he pulled me aside after the event and asked me to mentor him. And he hadn't even decided to run for sheriff at that point, but he wanted to, he knew he wanted to make an impact, and he knew he wanted to serve. So I said, wow, this young man is incredibly intelligent. He's dynamic. And I see myself in him. So I certainly, we're good friends, right? I don't even think it's a mentorship at this point now. We sharpen each other, the expression iron sharpens iron. And, he gives me that youthful energy. And he said, I help refine, his skills and, help him with his presentation and addressing the public. But yeah, he's a star. And he's going to be a fantastic sheriff, the first immigrant sheriff in Delaware County. He's 30 years old. So I wasn't at his level at 30. Took me a while to find my stride.
Isn't it amazing? I continue to say our young people, while we're ignoring them, are really digging and asking the questions and researching. You introduced me to Sadiq. Remember that?
Yes.
And I said, Sadiq, you've got to come on the show. He came on the show to talk about Fantability, who was his cousin.
Yes.
And he told me after the show, he said, I'm going to run for sheriff. I really believe that if I don't take this opportunity to show up for my people in a good way. Somebody came with their keys. Did they come with the keys?
Not yet.
Okay. To show up in a valuable way. I know I'm young. People are going to challenge me, but I believe I can. And he spoke so highly of you. So when he began running for sheriff, he's since won. And Ed, I began seeing comments online about it's time to leave the community. They're coming. They got your keys. I see you moving.
Yeah, I'm going to go in a conference room.
I've been in that building 1,000 times. Angela says, what I admire of Mayor Brown is that he's been the same even-keeled professional man even before the leadership positions he's had in the community. Yes, you met him in that class. You talked to him in that class. You saw where he was going. Real even-keeled, real thoughtful about, how he responded to people. Did you get in your office, or are you still moving around?
I'm in a conference room. So this is better than sitting outside my office. So I'm in a conference room.
Okay. Yeah. And so we could tell. So one of the things I talk about all the time, Ed, Mayor Brown, because I just can't keep calling you Ed, Mayor Brown, is that your core values matter, right? Where are your shortcomings? Where are your strengths? Where are your challenges, right? What are the things that will set you in a different pathway if you go through them? And how do you work on those things? I drummed that into all of you when you were in my class, because it is incredibly important. But you took it and you lifted and elevated it. And now look at Sadiq. Now, when Sadiq won, and I'm going to ask him this when he comes on the air, there's a whole lot of tropes that were on the page. We got to leave. What township did he win in as sheriff?
Delaware County as a whole, the entire county. So he's the sheriff of Delaware County, not just one city, every city in Delaware County, every municipality in Delaware County. He is the sheriff. So that's a big responsibility, and he's going to be fantastic. He's ready to hit the ground running. He followed my model. He has a transition team, which I'm a part of. So he's ready to work. he is raring to go. And he just said, hey, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to follow what I saw you do, and create a transition team and have, advisors and people that have done the work, that are already elected, and people that, he admires. So he's built a fantastic transition team. So yeah, Dr. Monica Taylor is a part of that. Senator Anthony Williams is a part of that. So he's built a high-powered, what I consider a high-powered transition team, really, smart and caring servants that I think will help him be successful.
Wow. I'm so grateful to hear that. All of Delaware County, 30 years old.
Yes. Yes, big responsibility. And he also had the benefit of Jerry Sanders was his predecessor. And Jerry Sanders was a fantastic sheriff. So he's transitioning their friends. So he's handing over the reins. Jerry Sanders was term limited, I believe. So he's
Yeah.
handed over the reins to Sadiq to make sure he's successful. And Sadiq has his own ideas on things he want to implement. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic to watch.
My goodness. And I see that his lived experiences will also be a part of this. Um, how much how much does he, and I have to ask him this because how much does his training inform how he works with people? Because he will have folks around him that says, I want you to do this, and talk to him like he's 30 years old, as if he has no sense. How is he working through that piece of it?
So I think he's going to pull from his background. Like he's former military. He's a federal agent. He worked for Josh Shapiro when he was district attorney. So he's been in some high profile positions already. And I think he's going to pull from the skills that he's learned there and the incredible responsibility in the positions that he's had. He served on Josh Shapiro's staff. So I think he's going to pull from that and use that to, craft his style as sheriff. But I think he's going to be excellent. I think he's prepared, he's skilled, and he's ready to serve.
Here's my last question that I have of you about Sadiq. How
Mhm.
will you help him, or can you support him, or are the people on his transition team help him to navigate the folks who would try to destroy what he's trying to build with their negative commentary? How are you working with him to deal with the stuff that may come his way from folks who don't want to see him there? Because I've seen some of that stuff online.
Right. I explained to him already, and I'm going to reinforce this. When we have our week, we have weekly sessions, right? We have weekly tag ups. We call it a brother tag up, but that you can't make everybody happy, right? So you'll sleep good at night as long as you do a great job, work very hard every day. And I always use sports analogies. I leave nothing on the field. I give my very best in the different capacities in which I serve every day. And then I sleep good at night, knowing that
Yeah.
they got my all, they got everything that I have to give. And that's the advice that I would give him. There's going to be detractors. There's going to be people that want you to fail, right? They don't care about the township or 87,000 people or Delaware County or hundreds of thousands of people. They just want to see you fail. And those are the ones that you just have to, I always say, kill it with execution.
Come on.
So that's my
That's
expression.
right.
So
That's
I
right.
don't try to win them over because they don't want to be won over. They're not reasonable. They're not.
Mhm.
They don't care about. In some cases, they don't care about themselves. They certainly don't care about me or what I'm trying to do. But I serve everyone, right? And I try to win them over with execution. I just try to do a great job. And I've had some people that say, I did not vote for you, or I did not like you, but I absolutely appreciate the work that you're doing. And I would vote for you again. If you decided to run again, I would vote for you. And I appreciate how hard you're working for our township. So that's what makes it valuable when people come to you and they watch and they have they change their thinking, or they give you an honest chance to and watch you work and see how they feel. So
Mhm. I tell people all the time, it's not what you say so much, because we can say anything, but it's what you do. What you do. Alexandra says, I don't understand the negative response to Sadiq being the sheriff of Delco. His predecessor is a black man. It's ageism. It's
right.
ageism. They just think
And
he's
also
too
the
good.
fact that he's an immigrant. So people,
Oh, that too. That too.
people,
Yeah.
he's first, they want to find a reason not to like someone or accept someone. And his ageism was a part of it too. They said he was very young. And I think his opponent used to work in the sheriff's office years ago. But yeah, he was more than qualified, and he got the endorsement of the FOP. He got incredible endorsements because people knew that he has the right skill set. He's the right person
Yes,
for right now, and he's going to be fantastic.
I agree. Now, I'm going to address this one part last, but I'm going to ask you this. What do you do to relax yourself? Being a mayor of any city is incredibly challenging. It's not an easy job. What do you do for rest and relaxation? What would you say to other leaders about taking the time to decompress in the middle of doing this challenging job?
I'll lean on another expression that I live by, and that's work hard, play hard.
Yeah, come on.
So, so I just landed last night
Mhm,
from San Francisco. I went to San Francisco just for a few days from Thursday to
mhm,
Sunday. and went to the Golden Gate Bridge, and did some other, went to a winery, a wonderful winery out in San Francisco. So I recognize, I pay attention to my brain and my body. When it tells me it needs some downtime, I listen to it. And I love the vacation. I love to go places. I love to see the world. This is my second job, right? Serving as mayor. I also work as a cybersecurity engineering manager, right?
And
And then my part-time job is
Yes.
mayor. I know when I need downtime, and I do take it. I've been to Spain and Hawaii and Mexico in the last couple of years. So it's important to take that quality time away from all your responsibilities and just enjoy. I think you earned it when you work hard. So
yeah, Alexander said, and his mother is loved here in the borough. Is it just your mother-in-law?
Yes. My mother-in-law she's in Yaden. Yes, my mother-in-law, Chris, she's in Yaden. She's amazing. She's amazing. And I always compliment her. And she cries whenever I tell her. She gave me my greatest gift. I'm widowed. My queen is in heaven. But I always say, I will take care of you forever. You gave me my greatest gift. How can I not love you? You gave me my greatest gift.
And you literally grabbed her and loved her. You're an amazing human being. Amazing.
Thank you. That means a lot. Coming from you, that means a lot. That's a big statement. I take that very seriously. Thank you.
Now listen, the one problem I have with you, and there is one.
Oh boy, I know what's coming.
You're a Dallas Cowboys fan. And you will rub it in our faces every chance you get. Now listen here, sir. Listen here. Are you still a Dallas Cowboys fan?
See, all those people that like me now was saying good comments are now not saying such nice things. But listen, I'm gonna explain to you, and I'll say this for everybody. I love every Philadelphia sports team except one. I love the Phillies. I love the Sixers. Go Flyers. I was raised a Cowboys fan. My father was a Cowboys fan. He served in Texas when he was in the Army. So that's the only team I've ever rooted for. That's the only team I've ever known. Yes,
and you're standing on your principle. We love you for that. But
yes. Sorry, I'm not a perfect human being, but I don't apologize for that. I've met some of the Cowboys. So that's my team. But hey, go Sixers. That we can all agree on, right? We can all agree on that.
Yeah, we can all agree on that. My brother, thank you so much. Continue to do the work. Continue to be a light in dark spaces. Continue to learn the lessons as they come your way, because as you already know, there's no perfect leadership, right? And as you make your mistakes, like we've always said, you apologize and move on, fix it, find the solution and make it work. And I've seen you do it over and over again. And for that, I want to thank you on this bright Monday morning for showing us what it looks like, how it could be, and for being Black excellence, just for being excellent all the way around.
Truly appreciate that. Truly appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to be on your show. When you call, I come running. So I will always support your show. And I try to get up earlier than I need to sometimes to watch it. And I'll be bleary-eyed brushing my teeth, but watching it. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the lessons you're still teaching and all the work that you do. And thank you for being a dear friend. You've been a dear friend from the day I met you until now. So thank you.
You can thank your wife. That is now that you're with
I do. I thank her every day. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, my brother. Have a good one. All right, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That was so good. That was so good. As I wait for him to sign off, that was so... So I want to share something with all of you. I have been mentoring leaders for a long time. They will not be named here. They're not all in the United States. I mentor them in different parts around the world. And one of the things I talk to them about is to how you navigate through this life. You're not always going to get it right? But leadership, true leadership is around serving, not just saying you're serving, but being a servant to the people around you. Because that leadership can go to your head in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. And in an effort to stay in a humble place, you always not think about the most important people that you think is, they're making enough money, they're in these high spaces. The most important people are the ones that can absolutely do nothing for you. nothing for you. And when you make their lives better, they speak your name long after you are gone. Long after you are gone. Why would you cry? Why are you crying, Angela Jones? I didn't mean to make you cry, honey. I didn't mean to make you cry. I don't know what's making you cry. You gotta tell mommy. My mother, not mommy. Mother. Um, I grew up with parents who say, stay out of the spotlight. Don't seek, do not seek fame and fortune. The only thing you want to do is to help the people around you at all times. The ones that are less fortunate, the ones that are trying to figure out a way. Do you know how many people of my parents have moved into the house from the family who lived in the parishes in Jamaica, and they were like, Andrea, move out of here. You're going to share a room with somebody else. We're going to bring cousin so-and-so, or cousin so-and-so is on the sofa. My father always wanted to make sure that he was protective of us. And so this is how we're grown. And when you are grown up in trauma, that trauma leads you, if you do not take the time and the effort to heal from them. It is no longer acceptable to walk around and say, well, this is what happened to me in my childhood. Yes, it did. But now you're good and grown. You're 50-something years old. You're 40-something years old. You're 30-something years old. Like the rest of you, for those of us who are in leadership that have worked through their traumas, it is literally taking courses. It's literally working on yourself. Now, why did I say that? What could I have said differently? What's the lessons I'm to learn from all of this? And so that's where we go. Julie says, thank you, Andrea, for everything you do. I follow your words daily. You have made my life and others so much better. Thank God we met. And so when I leave this earth, don't cry for me. Do not cry for me. She said, it's okay. They're happy tears, Angela. And they're happy tears. Don't cry. Do not cry. The love that we give to people, the way that we've shown up without being on social media, telling people that you're showing up for X, Y, and Z, that love should sustain all of you to go, yes, and this is how this, you're going to hear some things when I die, right? Because there's so much that is not shared. And so as I sit here and I watch all the conversation around, oh, well, so-and-so is popular now. Let me go get on so-and-so's calendar, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, who are you? Who are you? What do you offer and bring to the table that allows you to be steadfast no matter what shakes out in front of you? What? And so all of that is important. You don't have to tell people how wonderful you are if your actions show that you're good to people, if you're not snapping at people and cutting them off and treating them like dirt beneath your feet. Who are you? So having the title is never enough. I've said this to people all the time. I don't care if you've been at this thing for 400 years. If you're nasty and subversive and you treat people, you're unkind to people in public and in private, but you want them to laud you because after all, you're so gifted at what you do. Your gifts and talents is just one part of who you are. How do you show up in those gifts and talents? Makes all the difference in the way people treat you. All the difference. All the difference. So I'm here, you know, I've asked God, I've switched and changed and moved and grown and done all sorts of things, children, families, adults, all the things, right? And David says, stay true to the mission of God, rebuke power and seek truth. Walk in love. Yes, David. Yes. Marguerite says, those who are really doing something try to stay out of the spotlight. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Right? And it's nice to I get it, you know. Joanne Belligan told me, she says, people with massive egos, it takes a lot of ego to run for office, And she knew something was different because I was asked to run for office. And I said, I don't even want to do dog catcher. No, thank you. I want to stay in the cut. Montgomery County for almost 30 years, just staying in the cut, helping people and loving on people without a thing for it in return. A lot of people question it. She doesn't want anything. She's not asking for anything. She's not, nope. If I have $2 and that is all I have, I'm going to take that $2 and rock it like it's 32, right? The only thing that has to stay constant with me is that I love God, love people, and treat people well. That's it. Because if you shift who you are based on how much money you have, based on how many cars you own, based on the square footage of your house, something is wrong with you. You have to stop and say, no matter if I have $2 or $200 million, this is who I am. If your entire personality changes as a direct result of being in power, or no, your personality doesn't change because you are who you are. It shows up. The good or the bad of who you are shows up when you gain more power. So we have to be mindful. Just be mindful. Butterfly says, just sharing that when you use your background and childhood as a crutch, it becomes your personal blockage when you default to playing the victim role versus doing the work. Yeah. Yes. Butterfly says, it's Alyssa May, you need to come back on. She says, just sharing that when you use your background and childhood as a crutch, it becomes your personal blockage when you default to playing the victim role versus doing the work and standing in growth. David says, I do like my grandmother taught us by example, help from the heart and in silence. Absolutely. Alexandra says, Mova, what I learned about my grandmother and what she did for others at her funeral brought so much joy and comfort that day. Yeah. And my mother's funeral was the same thing. Cousins were popping up from all around the world talking about your mother did this and my mama? My mama. They're like, yeah, your mother saved our lives 1,000 times. Even people who were not related to her. She was such a beautiful soul, worked our last nerves. And they made us think she was miserable and we loved her anyway. But my mother spent her entire life loving on and helping people. David says, look at the birds in the air, whose Father in heaven loves them and takes care of them. And does not the Father love you more? And on that note, this episode of Mornings with Marvel is officially over. Tomorrow morning on Mornings with Marvel, Leslie Renee Morant is joining me. Yes, that Leslie. She's going to be my guest tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to it. And we will be here at 6:30 on YouTube and on Divine Mother Diva on Facebook. We're still trying to figure out how to get onto Instagram because it's a platform that's a little wonky. It doesn't work well. So I'm trying to use this platform that I'm on now to get there. But Leslie Renee Morant is my guest, my special guest tomorrow morning. This episode of Mornings with Muff is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. I'll try and see if I can get my father to stick his head in the camera tomorrow morning so you can talk to him, okay?